Joining us today is Chad Rogers from the Dead Pelican. How you doing, Chad?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
We're doing just so well, John and I. We've had so much show prep done for us by the legislature this year. Has been great.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a crazy. Well, I want to say it's been a crazy session. It's been a fairly standard session actually. It's over, and we had a special session preceding this one, and now this one's over. And the one thing, look at some of this. Look at the state and the national newspapers. The one thing that seems to be catching headlines all over the place is this law, this Blue Lives Matter law, making cop killing, I believe, a hate crime.
Mm-hmm.
I've never understood the logic personally behind hate crimes. I always thought that. I think that most decent people are opposed to killing people,
right.
opposed to murder.
Yep.
There's already laws in the books covering murder and already laws in the books covering things like assault and battery. I don't know why it's treated differently if you're a cop I'm against the killing of cops.
Well,
I'm against the killing of talk radio hosts and bloggers, too.
Thank God, thank God. Well, Chad...
I'm also opposed to killing puppies and kittens.
Yes.
Why do we... and there's laws against all that stuff, so why do we need to pass more? I fail to understand it. Perhaps you gentlemen do, but I don't.
No, we don't understand it.
We don't understand it at
We were
all.
just talking about it because it's like when you pull the trigger, you probably hate somebody to start with. So what are you going to do? Send them away for 2 life sentences instead of 1? Or how many times is the culprit going to say, I better not load it and lock this Glock up because if I shoot a cop, never mind.
Well, yeah, and also if the death penalty, if the death penalty is invoked, you can only kill somebody once. It's not like you can kill somebody twice, if they commit a hate crime.
Well, how about this one? We got the Revolt case here in Lafayette. Seth Fontenot shoots a kid who's retreating from him, and he gets 13-month sentence and gets out after 10 months. So what's the point in having a law that makes it tougher to kill a cop?
That's a good question. I followed that case somewhat. It seemed to be kind of a big deal around there, and I did follow it some. And that's certainly an interesting question that you pose. You're shooting somebody in the back. It certainly doesn't look like you kind of question. It certainly looks bad. It doesn't doesn't exactly look like it's necessary. If a guy's running away from you, he's not attacking you. So, but yeah. So anyway, that's the kind of stuff that got passed in the session. They managed to spend. I'm kind of amazed that we had a special session before this. We had a regular session, and now we're talking about another special session to fix the $600 million shortfall. It's amazing to me. Of course, I think there's a rule stipulating that in something about, I think it's even numbered years, I believe, when they can't deal with the budget issues in a regular session.
Right.
Which that's okay. Now, one possibility for plugging the budget shortfall. I don't know how much money could you save by not having a legislative session every year? How much does the session itself cost? Because in other states, I understand they don't have sessions every year. Some of them have sessions, believe it or not, every other year.
Yep, they have them every other year. They reduce it. Listen, one of the things, Chad, I've said for a number of years now, when we were redistricted, after the census loss, one of the things is we now function with one less congressman than we did a decade ago. How about this? Since we've lost population, let's redistrict and reduce the number of state senators, reduce the number of House members down to a level you would save that money plus the legacy costs, plus the cost for the legislative assistant and their costs. And guess what? They wouldn't have time for a bunch of frivolous bills like Mothmen and Seeing Eye Monkeys and all this other crazy stuff.
Exactly. Yes, that's a very good point. Can we reduce the number of legislators, and again, I don't know how much they make money in per diem. I don't know what it all adds up to, but I'm very curious. If we reduce the number of legislators, like Dr. John is talking about, and if we had sessions every other year instead of every single year, how far would that get us to plugging the budget hole? I don't know. Maybe not a heck of a lot. Maybe a lot. I don't know, but it's something that's definitely worth asking, I think. Don't you?
Listen, we've asked it a couple of times here, and look, nobody ever wants their individual state senator or rep cut for the most part. But if we lost a congressman, we can certainly redistrict the state. And I can tell you this, in the Constitution, it gives us an upper limit, but it doesn't give us a lower limit. So we already have the ability, and we ought to consider it for 2020, to reduce the number of state senators and House members down to a level and have a real session every other year and reduce the pay altogether for it. I mean, we should not be going into special session and them getting paid extra to do what they should have done in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. As far as the special session, some of the things are going to be discussed. This is from Jeremy Alford.
Yeah.
And I have this linked on my website, Pelican.com. Some of the things will be discussed in the special session. Something that jumped out on me, I was taken aback by it. It says one of the things they're going to be considering is a mistake that accidentally yanked sales tax exemptions away from the New Orleans Saints and their NBA counterpart, the Pelicans. Also being discussed, the charities that got lumped into the changes made to the Louisiana tax code, which includes the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts. I mean, tell me they made a mistake.
Yeah.
They made a mistake. They accidentally yanked tax exemptions from the Saints and the Pelicans, and maybe the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts. That's the way I read this.
Yep.
How do you accidentally?
How do you accidentally do that?
Because you're paying too much attention to other useless bills. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, and the more I read about these characters, the stuff that they do in the regular session, the more I like the idea of having less of them.
Well, listen, I mean, we looked at one of these, and one of the state reps that's closest to you, Julie Stokes, earlier this year, 39 bills that she introduced, and many of them contradictory to other bills. So it's like, if you have this many bills, you know, if you have fewer of them, maybe you have fewer of these superfluous bills in the first place.
Yeah, and have you read the language of some of these bills? I'm not a lawyer, but I don't understand what they mean, and I have a very hard time believing that the lawmakers themselves actually sit down and write this stuff. I mean, I don't know. I'm very skeptical. Where does this stuff come from? I mean, 39 bills. Does she actually have time to sit down and write 39 bills herself? I've heard that a lot of bills are actually written by lobbyists.
Yes, that's exactly right. They're either written by lobbyists or they're written by those legislative aides that they have and other people looking over their shoulder. I mean, I've seen this into action, and let me tell you what, it's not the way that most people think they send people to Baton Rouge to represent their interests. Most people would be appalled at it.
That is appalling. It's a scary thought to me. The people voting on this stuff, likely, I mean, I've actually heard said that a lot of times they don't even read the stuff. They have their lackeys or whatever explain them, give them the Reader's Digest version.
Yep. And
based upon that, they say, okay, I'll vote for it or no, I won't.
Yep.
And
that's a scary thought.
And Chad, I'm of the opinion that the special session they call the next time, they should not get paid at all, or they should return the money they got paid the last time because they didn't do the job of balancing the budget when they were supposed to. If John and I don't do the job, we will either get laid off or we're not going to get paid.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, of course, they got a convenient excuse for not doing their job, which is the law said they basically couldn't, because the law says in even-numbered years they can't in this session you cannot address the budget. So maybe why can't they address that? Why can't they deal with the budget when they have to deal with the budget? Why can't they have more flexibility there?
Absolutely.
Thanks, man. We appreciate you as always.
Take care.
Appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Thank you very much. Chad Rogers from thedeadpelican.com. A lot of great Louisiana stuff on his website.